What's going on, guys? Eddie Dowd back again with Brian Sachs. I'm a real estate agent. He's a mortgage lender, and we come to you every single week with more real estate knowledge, more real estate tips. And today we actually have one of our viewers ask us a question. It's a little bit off the beaten trail of what we typically talk about, but something that a lot of people think about, and that's adding an addition to your home. Sometimes you may buy a house and it might not be the biggest. Maybe it's a two bedroom and you want a three or a four, or it's a three bedroom and you want a five, or whatever the case may be. You just need extra living space. A lot of people buy for location, 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 perfect location. There's plenty of houses with perfect location, but maybe it needs a little bit bigger once you get settled and get things going. So our viewer today asked, they are looking to expand their house. They've owned their house. They have positive equity in their home, but they are looking to add an addition to the house. And what's the best way to go about doing that? And there's many different ways. So we're gonna talk about the different ways, maybe the pros and cons of those ways. But Brian, what would you say to someone that is looking to expand on their home? What advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing you need to do is see if you're over improving your property. So if you're in a neighborhood of three-bedroom homes and or two, 3-bedroom houses and you're putting in bedroom 4 and 5, you may be over improving the house. And if you over improve the house, it means when you go to sell it, you're not going to get your money back. And you could be upside down on the mortgage. So, if you're in a neighborhood of $300,000 houses and you're putting in an extra $100,000 for those 2 bedrooms and bathrooms, well, now you got a $400,000 house in a $300,000 neighborhood. That doesn't work. Okay. So that's the first thing. You've got to just make sure that the neighborhood supports it. How can you do it? A couple different ways. Number one, you can do it. And so in that case, Eddie, by the way, it might be better for you to sell your house and buy another one. If you have equity in the house, sell it and buy a different house, maybe that's already existing in a different neighborhood that, would suit your needs. Now, if you do want to stay there and it does support the value, you can do a couple different things. You can do a Fannie Mae, a conventional, or an FHA reno loan, where we will lend you the money to fix up the property. Now, that would require a refinance, so that's going to impact your first mortgage. It's a brand new mortgage. We're going to pay off your mortgage and give you a new mortgage for enough money to pay off that mortgage and roll in all of your renovation costs. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Another thing you could do is get a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. You could also get a second mortgage on the home. They may be more expensive options, though. They may be a little bit more costly because a home equity line and a second mortgage are going to come with a slightly higher interest rate than a refinance mortgage would. So it really depends on the neighborhood. It depends on the extent of your renovations. It depends on what your goal is. There's a lot that goes into it, but there are many, many ways to accomplish it. Adding additions is a pretty big job. You know, if you're talking about just, putting some lipstick on, some new flooring, some new paint, some new, whatever minor repairs. I mean, you could probably finance that with most a lot of flooring companies are offering no interest. You don't need to get a mortgage. There's no closing costs. You just get a no interest loan from the flooring company. Same thing with painters. So there's lots of different options. Just need to know a little bit more to see what your situation is. So whoever the viewer is, you can call me 443-471-8557. Eddie, how do they reach you?
410-588-6536. And guys, remember the home funded for those of you that are still looking to buy a home. It works like a GoFundMe. Your friends, your family can contribute there. And also we give you $2,000 towards the purchase of your home as well. But thank you guys for your questions, and we will see you next week.
I got one thing I forgot to mention, Eddie.
What's
So
that?
this is somebody that already owns a house, right? But we are I think, the number one renovation lender in the United States. So if you find, folks, a really good house in in a really good neighborhood, but it's ugly or it needs some love or some work, we can lend you the money to buy that home and do the renovations and customize it to exactly the way you want it. So you get to choose the appliances, the flooring, the kitchen, the everything. Um, the paint colors. Literally, you want to put a deck on, finish the basement, redo a bathroom. There are so many homes in Baltimore that are old, 40, 50, 60 years old. They're in a good neighborhood. They're in good shape. They got good bones. They just need, a little bit of love. So you could buy a home and do that as well, right up front. We can give you a mortgage to do the whole thing. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Of course. Yeah. So another thing to think about, we talk about them every so often is your renovation loans as well. But thank you guys for joining us this week, and we will see you next week as well.
All right. Thank you.